Good morning and welcome to a new video and welcome to my first scientific conference. I'm going into the 5th year of my astrophysics degree and I've never been to one, and I'm technically also not there. I'm in my flat. I'm in my new flat, but I am in my flat. The conference is here. Well, at least it is for me. The conference, NAM 2022, the National Astronomy Meeting, well, it's actually in Warwick this year. But because it is 2022 and we're still working our way out of the COVID-19 pandemic, they're also doing a hybrid option, and that's what I'm attending. I've received funding from the School of Physics here in St Andrews to attend virtually the National Astronomy Meeting, and I'll be going through all the talks and bringing you all with me for my first scientific conference, even if it's not in person. It's interesting. Let's have a look, and at the minute we've got technical difficulties because of course we do. That is me now one session into the National Astronomy Meeting, into NAM 2022. It was an interesting session. It was on multi-wavelength AGN, and that's where I'm going to be spending most of the day today, I think. Essentially the way that these conferences work is you've got a number of these parallel sessions, because not everyone's going to be interested in every talk. So they run 6 sessions all at once with on various different topics. So in the last hour and a half we've had concurrent talks on extragalactic astronomy, on scientific projects, like big projects, like big surveys and that sort of thing, solar physics, stellar physics, and a couple of things on techniques, like how people are doing the science. So I was in the extragalactic astronomy session. Now it's a sort of 30-minute coffee break, which means that everyone in the conference itself is able to go and have a chat. I think there are ways for me to do networking here. I'm not entirely sure. I need to go and explore that. But right now I'm going to go get a cup of tea. Then we're going to go into the welcome session. Yes, it's after the first session, but it's to let everyone get in, which is going to be about 15 minutes. And then the first plenary. The plenary sessions are the ones that everyone goes to. They're on normally big things that are widely appealing. So the first one is from Jane Birkby. She is going to be talking about exoplanet adventures in 2020 and beyond. So that's what we've got to look forward to in the first plenary session, which is starting at 11:15. 28 degrees in this room, which is far too bleeding hot. The windows are getting opened. I don't care about the noise at this point. I was trying to avoid road noise because I do now live on a rather busy road. But frankly, life is too short. But juice acquired, biscuit eaten. I had a jammy dodger. It was brilliant. We're now going to sit down for the first plenary session, and hopefully that will be interesting. Okay, so we're now at... what time is it? We're now at 12 o'clock, and that's the end of the first plenary session. From a really interesting talk, actually, from Professor Jane Birkby from the University of Oxford. She was talking about exoplanets in the 2020s and beyond, talking about what we can look forward to with some of the new instruments coming online. We're getting the first spectral data from the James Webb tomorrow on an exoplanet, I think it's WASP 96b. I wrote that down somewhere. I think it's that one. But I've also just found out that we're getting the first science images from James Webb. We're getting the first one, not images, just one, I think, is being unveiled tonight by Joe Biden, the President of the United States. They're unveiling it because it's hype. The talk was really interesting, talking about like how we've got really good at doing like mass and radius of exoplanets. We'll work out what's in their atmospheres. That's the next part. So they're looking at it through something called transit spectroscopy. So the light shining through the atmosphere of an exoplanet. So if you've got the star and the planet going across, it'll look bigger in wavelengths that are being absorbed by the atmosphere. So this actually happens with our own atmosphere. In the wavelengths that are absorbed by ozone, the Earth actually looks bigger because more of its atmosphere is absorbing light, and the same thing happens with other planets' atmospheres, exoplanet atmospheres. The problem is it's a 1% difference on an effect that only blocks around 1% of the light. So it's blocking 1% of 1% of the sun, of the star's light. So it's quite hard to see. Hopefully we're going to get some cool spectra from some exoplanets. It's really cool. It was really interesting talk. There's just a short break now before the next plenary talk, which is going to be on brown dwarfs, which are kind of like failed stars. I'm excited. I'm going to drink. It's so warm. Why do we have to have this during a heat wave, and why do I have to be stuck inside?
After that session, I went and had some mise toast for lunch and watched some Big Bang Theory. I know people have split opinions on it, but I like it.
It's now after lunch, and we're about to head into the next parallel session. And for this one, I've been slightly conflicted about which session to go to, because there's really three, but there's two that look quite interesting. Based on the amount of it I think might be interesting, I think I'm going to go for the one called Professional Practice 5, because it's on equality, diversity and inclusion in astronomy. It's an area which I tried to do quite a bit of work in a school president for physics and astronomy, and I find it interesting, so I think I'm going to go with that. It's going to be good, I hope. Let's go find out. I think the first talk's from somebody from the University of Edinburgh, so not that far from me. Okay, so that's us at the end of the second parallel session, the fourth session of the day. If you don't include the lunchtime ones, which you can't do if you're remote. That session was on EDI, which is really important. It's a really interesting topic to go into, even if it's a bit depressing. And it's important to go into it because realistically, we're missing so many perspectives. Like, it is not easy to be in science for anyone, really. But it's especially not easy to be in science if you're not a straight white male. Let me rephrase that. If you're not a straight white cis-het male. And it's a thing that I don't know as much about as would be useful if I want a career in academia, because I want to try and help improve things. And part of this channel is I try and encourage people to pursue science, go into physics, go into astronomy, go into other sciences as well. And I feel like I need to understand the caveats on that. What things are a bit crap. It's not an easy career to have stability in for a long time. And it's even worse if you're not somebody like me. And I hate that. And part of what I want to do in my career is try and make that a little easier. And to start on that, I need to understand it. So it was a pretty harrowing session to listen to some of the stuff. Some really, really good speakers. They talked about their own personal experiences and cannot thank them enough for that. But the system's a bit broken still. It's going to be broken for a while yet, but I suppose it just takes more of us trying to fix it. So hopefully I can try and do my bit to help fix it as well. And part of that will just be listening to people and trying to do what will help them. But that session ran over slightly, and frankly, I don't mind that it did. I'm going to get myself another drink before the last session. I think I'm going to go back to Extragalactic, but I might dip from there and go back to the EDI one for their panel discussion at the end, because I had a few questions that didn't have time to answer, so I might jump between sessions later this afternoon. But day one of NAM is going pretty fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this. It's going well. But I'm roasting. It's 28.5 degrees in my room at the minute. It's why I'm doing this bit at the window. God, it's so warm. I'm just roasting alive. Taking a small break from the talks. If it's still on the background, I've just still got it muted because, this is just kind of cool. As I've just listened to a talk by Dr. Becky Smethurst, who you may know of Dr. Becky. She's in science YouTube land. Great science communicator. Really love her channel. Listen to her talk on the AGN work that she does, and just tweet out and just seen Dr. Becky give a great talk at NAM 2022, really interesting, and it's got me thinking about some potential master's projects. Yeah, that's quite cool. Yeah, I'm slightly freaking out at that one. That's just cool. It's gonna be really embarrassing if she sees this now. She won't. It's fine. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Feels pretty good. I'm going to go back to watching stuff. I'm just excited about that. This might not make it into the vlog. Good morning. Welcome to day 2 of the National Astronomy Meeting. We're about to launch into the second day of talks. So the first talks are on extragalactic astronomy again. I think it's the reionization epoch. Yeah. Theory and observations of the first light and the reionization epoch. So this is the point at which the first light in the universe was emitted, which is really cool. So we're going to have the first session on that. Then there's the plenary talks. And then we've got a session on the pandemic, COVID-19. Some talks on science communication-y things in there, which is cool. Later this afternoon, I think I'm switching back to extragalactic astronomy for a session on linking simulations to observations to understand galaxy evolution. Now, galaxy evolution isn't necessarily what I'm interested in, but simulations and linking that to observations is kind of interesting. and I like simulations. I'm going to jump back on here because the talks are starting. They're doing the introduction to the session. I'm really enjoying this whole conference thing. I wish I was there in person, but I couldn't because, well, money and time, and I've had COVID for the last week and I'm still testing positive. I feel fine, but clearly if I was testing positive for COVID, I couldn't be going,
So I went and listened to some of the talks, took a good number of notes, and then also modded for Cat Does Maths productivity stream, just keeping an eye on chat.
I'm having quite a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary day because we're going to be going on to the sort of COVID-19 adaptations to astronomy and science outreach and all that sort of stuff, which will be really interesting. That's the session that's going to be starting at 2:30. Got really interesting talking that one from Becky Smithers as well. She's talking about tricking social media algorithms into reaching the unreachable. So if you've found this video out of the blue, then, well, that may be because whatever she talks about has worked for me. Doubt it. A big massive gap in which I'm going to have lunch and then I guess maybe work on some stuff. I'm probably going to set up a camera and record another video. I posted a video this morning, my video about how to stay sane while at university. It went up an hour and a half ago and it's had 15 views. I mean, it's, considering I haven't posted since February, it's not bad. If you haven't watched that, go check it out. It'll be up here. So I've got this nice big break in which I've had lunch, and now I'm going to record a new video for the channel because this is going to take a while to edit. I also need that one, and I've got this time. The video's written, might as well do it. I'm going to do that now.
This is the video on things I wish I'd known before coming to university. Go check that out.
Okay, so you're probably noticing that the colours changed, the lights all changed. Yeah, so I'm in my living room now. We've got a very pink wall, which looks red on the camera, and the curtains are closed because it's freaking roasting. So we're in the middle of a bloody heat wave at the minute, and my room has been at 27 degrees. I just recorded that whole video at 27 degrees with the fan off. So I came through into the living room, which is a little bit cooler for some reason, probably because I've got a computer in it. The plan is I've got an hour to kill. I might go and offload some footage. I might sit here and play some piano for a wee bit. I don't know, because piano! I might do that for a wee bit and then we'll go back to the talks. I'm really excited for that because there's going to be talks about how you do outreach, how you do that sort of, some of the online science communication things, which is great. And I really find that stuff interesting. I love that it's at the National Astronomy Meeting, that it's a thing that is getting talked about. So awesome. I would honestly be happy if it just dropped like 5 degrees. Okay, so I'm now at the end of Professional Practice 2, Session 1, which is the COVID outreach session, which has been great. We're now going to go over to the National Astronomy Meeting press briefing for JWST. So last night we got one of the images from JWST because Joe Biden was like, we're going to release this. And they've released a spectrum, which we've already seen, which looks like this. And that is a spectrum of the atmosphere of the hot gas giant exoplanet WASP-96b. And apparently there's like a bit of a surprise in how much water there is, which is interesting. And now there's going to be a press briefing live from the National Astronomy Meeting. Sadly, not there in person, can't be there. Would be kind of cool. But it's been a really interesting day so far. I'm trying to decide, do I go to continue on with the outreach COVID-19 lessons learned, or if I go to extragalactic astronomy because it's remote galaxy simulations. I don't know. What I have discovered is that tomorrow is going to be really interesting because we've got talks on early career researchers, which is going to be really interesting for me because in the not too distant future, like I think early career researchers starts at PhD, and I'm going to be a PhD student hopefully in just over a year. That could be an interesting day of talks, and they've also got a plenary session on accreting white dwarfs. Yeah, accreting magnetic white dwarfs, which is just insane. But they're starting, so I'm going to go and listen to that because JWST stuff.